Hi, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of For the Love of Health, where I get to meet with holistic health practitioners who are working in various modalities, various backgrounds, and are running the show in their businesses currently and are, they tell me all kinds of things that are going on, and that way we can all refer one another, find ideal collaborations, and just show some general, respect and love for other holistic health practitioners. So we're here with Daria Drake, and she's based in North Carolina, and she is the founder creator of Align Life. So would you like to tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing your business and how long you've been doing the work that you're doing?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Laura.
You're welcome.
I started a life aligned in the dissolve of 2020. So prior to that, I had an eco-conscious lifestyle brand and I was trying to help people. A life aligned was my tagline for that business. And I was trying to help people align their actions with their values and just make little small changes every day. So when 2020 happened, I realized that I was so burnt out because all of a sudden everything just stopped. And I kept trying to, I was teaching yoga at the time and I was like teaching more and more online. And I pretty much just like collapsed from burnout. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to change something. What is the life aligned? And so I decided to change everything over from that point on and dive more into my yoga practice and seek what it was that was calling me forward in this new way of serving. And I still feel like I'm developing what it is over the years. It's all been like such a process of like dissolving everything and then rebuilding again and just trying to really listen to see what it is that I'm here supposed to be doing.
So do you think that that burnout was just like a bunch of different things all at once? Can you speak to that a bit more? Like, what led you to believe you were experiencing burnout? What kind of created that? What like really like what those sensations feel like, so people can better identify that in case it's happening to them in their life.
Yeah. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of physical pain, even though I was in my yoga practice. Um, and yeah, I would say really it was a lot of anxiety and pain. And I felt like I wasn't fully expressing who I am on the inside. My definition of what is alignment is when that which is true for me on the inside is being reflected on the outside. And when we're playing small, when we're not fully expressing ourselves the way that we feel inside, that repression of emotion and expression really plays out in our physical bodies. And we experience things like anxiety and physical pain.
So
Um,
what were some of the warning signs for you that those things were happening?
I mean, it really, I don't think I really, I think it just kind of dawned on me like after going for so long, I was teaching more and more yoga classes and the owners of the yoga studio were like, hey everyone, we want to like do this beautiful check-in if you ever feel like you need a break because you know coronavirus and all of the worldly events that were happening at that time were really taking a toll on all of us and did for a long time after that. So the people that I was working for were so great and just offering that.
Want a break? Yes, we do.
Yeah. When they offered that, I was like, okay, people are taking breaks. I would like to sign up for this break. So I took a break from teaching yoga and decided that I needed to do like more self-study, figure out what was going on with my pain. And I started doing my yoga teacher, she facilitates wisdom circles, and it's like group yoga therapy. So I started doing those, and then I started doing talk therapy, and then I started working with an embodiment doula. And that was pretty much the chain of events that got me to where I am today.
So what does your process look like now with clients? Are you, yeah, what does that facilitation look like?
Yeah. Right now, I am actually looking for beta clients for my 5 phases of alignment. So I channeled this modality, this framework. It's been less than a year, and I kind of yeah, after channeling it, I definitely put it on the back burner because I wasn't too sure and I just wasn't in the right place for it yet. And now I am ready to bring people through these 5 phases for alignment, these 5 principles, practices, and I'm feeling really great about that. And I think I have one person who is ready to go through that with me. I have done some virtual retreats in the past and have taught and have done some meditation challenges. So those have been really great ways for me to start building my audience again because, starting all over, you got to start from scratch and build a new audience, find your new people. And yeah, so the challenges have been really fun and I've gotten really great feedback from them, and those like are just little light touches. But I'm really looking forward to diving more deeply with somebody one-on-one to see how this is going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you bring up a really good point that, when we pivot, when we change into a new modality or a new service, that we kind of have to embrace this like starting over, embrace this new challenge point. And by doing so, we're freeing up space for other things to happen. You wouldn't have been able to take on private clients if you were still doing the other thing, like it wouldn't have been happening. So you've created space for all that new stuff to happen, and somebody else can step into the role that you were doing and serving in that way. It's just a new time and a new space for you to be in. So for your beta, for your beta program, what are the details? How long is it going to take? What is the desired outcome, or what is the process, the before and after? How are
Mhm.
people in, and how are they hopefully working towards to look forward to?
Yeah, so the transformation I want to help people get is to live and be in your vision for life. So the way that I repressed a lot. I wasn't like fully expressing all the things that I needed to say and be and do in the way that was aligned with my internal compass. So I like to call that like our true nature. So I want to help people embody their true nature so they can feel good in their body. They can serve their purpose with clarity and more ease. Another sign that I was in misalignment was everything was really a struggle and like this uphill kind of battle, and trying to like move ideas up a mountain that just felt like, oh wow, I know this is really hard because you're getting resistance all along the way. So I want to help people like work with that resistance, like, okay, this isn't working, but this keeps like calling me. Why am I not listening to this call? Like, how can I release the things that aren't working for me and then harness the things that are, so that it feels good too? Because when we serve, I I've thought about this a lot. I think we're kind of tricked into believing that it has to be really hard and we have to suffer, and that like,
Mm.
yeah, that's what service is like giving up of ourselves so that others can be better, when in reality, we really have to self-serve, self-nourish, self-regulate in order to have this overflowing cup and be able to give in the highest, for the highest and greatest good of ourselves and the collective. So I want to help people like learn how to really take self-care for themselves in a way that's going to make a difference, which so like I can go through these 5 phases really fast if you want. So the first would be like we have to ground ourselves and get unplugged from all the input that is technology, the opinions of other people, like just let everything go and get on the ground and like feel our bodies and feel our breath again. And then from there, we want to integrate back in the things that we're doing. Like, okay, how am I using my energy? What do my relationships look like? Just kind of picking up the pieces and examining them. And then we can get clarity, which would be like the next step. And with this clarity, we can really answer the question of like, what's working, what's not, where do I feel resistance, where do I feel myself being pulled. And once we look at all those things, then we can release and like feel good about releasing those things that aren't serving us. And then for the last step, we want to embody like our vision, which for me, a big part of that is like feeling pleasure, feeling ease, and not being in this place of like anxiety and scarcity. And that's another thing I feel really passionately about helping people with is the tools that I teach during these phases are like self-regulation tools, because a lot of times we can't see the answer or we can't feel clear because our nervous system is not regulated and we're like in fight or flight, and we need to be able to get ourselves back into that window of tolerance. Okay, I feel in my body, I know the truth, I feel the truth, and I speak the truth.
So do you think this is, just to get even more nuanced, if possible, even more niche down, is this more going to be more effective for people who need better productivity, like getting tasks completed in life, like leadership? Or is it more for personal health and mental health?
Mm-hmm. It really, yeah, it really feels like holistic in the sense that by affecting and by working with my personal life, I'm going to make change in all the areas of my life, including work and what I'm doing. So it feels like kind of all those things, like I'm developing myself. And yeah, as we develop ourselves, like that just gets reflected back out
Mm-hmm.
to us.
I agree. I think your process is very clear. I just think that many people do these things at different, they compartmentalize at different times. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my health now versus I'm working on work now. And it
Mm-hmm.
might just benefit to be clear on who it is you're really working with. Um, So is it people who have anxiety currently and aren't able to get to the next, like I like that picture you painted of the mountain and the goals. You know, you just have these ideas, but it feels like you're pushing a rock up the mountain. That's really clear, you know. But is that someone who is mentally afflicted to the point where they can't move the rock, or is it someone who is currently in projects and needs help pushing the rock? You see the difference? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so who is that person, and what kind of job do they have, and
Mm-hmm.
like what roles do they currently seek, and that might bring clarity on who the customer is that you might be attracting in.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely been in the soup of like me getting clarity around all of the things. And it almost feels like there are a couple of windows open. I think pain and anxiety are usually going to come hand in hand. And whether you come through that window or the window of like, I want to leave my job, I want to serve in a new way, I'm not sure how to do that. And it feels really hard. Like if somebody comes through that window, like they might get the same, it's like a Venn diagram. There's overlapping work that needs to be done, which is working in the body, working with the breath, working with the mind, and, going through these phases is going to work for both. So I think it just really depends on, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a beautiful point and is more clarifying for me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that way it's clear on who you're asking to come in, and you could always test the product on more than one group of people, and then reflect on which group got what kind of results happened with each of those groups, and which one was like the most aligned with you right now as a practitioner, as a person, a coach. Like which one did you were like, yeah, that excited me, that really felt good. And if they both feel good, it's just two different offerings of the same process. So it's the same process, the same formulation, but you're just communicating it differently and effectively to the unique audiences that you are trying to help. So that's a very different thing. Like a person who's consuming because they're looking for a leadership coach or a productivity coach is different than an offer when someone is looking for an anti-anxiety coach or a mental health expert or a holistic healing expert, which it sounds like you're both. It's like the means to the end are the same, but the avenues and maybe the details for each would be different because they're based on different realities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like that front facing window shop cover of like, this is what we're doing in this shop. This person is going to come in from this door and this person's going to come in from this door because those are the doors that speak to them.
Yeah, we see this kind of stuff in holistic herbalism too, and nutrition. It's like reductionism that exists in allopathic medicine, where it's like one thing, does this, one thing does that. But in holism, it's the whole person. Like, one herb can work for anxiety, but also work really well for digestion. And you're like, well, how does that work? Well, it's holism. I mean, the plants are in synergy with other plants, and the body will take what it needs from when it needs it. And so it's like kind of this compensation we do where the process doesn't have to change. It's just the who is trying it on at the time and the customization that comes. And but with practices, it's like finding how products can speak to groups of people rather than just each individual, unless you decided to do a private coaching only, because then it's a lot more customization involved. But we can't, a lot of people get strapped down with that. Like, for example, like just doing individual contracts for each and every person, which is kind of what the before was for you, right? Like multiple yoga classes, multiple types of classes, maybe multiple places. And that's what I see with my clients too. It's like, oh, I can't work in like 10 different places. I'm like, you're in 10 different places right now? I mean, how is that sustainable? It's not. They're exhausted, they're burnt out, and they're back at square one, envisioning like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, how is this even possible? So it's great that you're already past that point, and now you can help people who are at that point.
Yes, I'm ready.
This beta program, it's usually beta programs are like little slivers of the process. What are you offering for it? How long?
Yeah, so there's 5 phases, as I mentioned, and I was thinking that we would have an onboarding session and then do like 2 or 3 sessions after that and go through just some of it, because there will be transformation even with just those, even if you don't go all the way to the end, it's still, again, to your point, it's all holistic and it's going to have an effect on whoever I work with. So yeah, so I'm thinking,
you want to run your whole program in the beta program. Is that what you're saying? You're going to do the whole thing?
No, I was thinking maybe like half of it, basically. Yeah.
That's great. And how are you meeting with these individuals? Like in person, online?
Yeah, it would be over Zoom like this. I have worked with private clients before, and I think, this new digital world is definitely helping bring people together in new ways. I would never have met you. I mean, maybe the podcast collaborative club was happening before all of the pandemic. But
I've been to
you know,
Durham once. I love Durham. It was it's a fun town.
it's
So,
pretty great. But yeah, like I've connected with people like on the West Coast and people in like the next town over. And um yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and it opens up so much more opportunity for us to connect with people.
yeah, there's just more, as long as you know your goals and know what you're trying to
Hmm.
accomplish,
Yeah.
like you said, 5 beta clients, I mean, you can do that. And um, I think it'll be helpful to, exactly like we talked about earlier, just, okay, I'm looking for people who want productivity coaches, or maybe project leaders who need help,
Hmm.
or mental health, like people who are
Hmm.
leaving corporations, leaving corporate life. That's very specific. And then you'll find where they hang out and put the offer in front of them, and then get what you need in order to build the results that you need in order to then sell the product, and let the results speak for themselves, which is the
Hmm.
natural and the real way to go about it. So um, yeah, good stuff. So what are any, besides your goals for the beta program, what kinds of other challenges do you have coming up right now that might be kind of keeping you from hitting those things?
Yeah, I mean, that is really my big like folds right there. I am working on building my YouTube channel and my presence on YouTube. And that's been really a fun way for me to like experiment with putting out content and giving like some short little lessons on, okay, let's learn how to do this kind of breathing so that you can
Mhm.
feel focused and regulate your system. I'm doing breath work, meditations, yoga nidra, and just short yin yoga poses to help with pain and tension. So that's I did work with I took a course for the YouTube stuff, so it feels like less of a challenge and more of like just an ongoing thing that I'm doing. Maybe I think the challenging part is I am I need to like repurpose my long format content and then share it across like these other social platforms, which that is probably the biggest struggle. Like the
Yeah.
long format thing, I'm like, I'm totally invested in it and I love it. And then it's comes to like sharing these little bits. I'm like, I have to cut this thing and then like, export it again. And
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah.
continuous cycle, and I'm still trying to hone in my process for sharing in all the ways.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's awesome that you're doing that, and it's a smart way to go about it. Content, you can make it evergreen, and yeah. So cool stuff. I mean, as you continue trying new things and growing, you'll find something that you really like about each thing, and then just it's great. Um, well, thank you so much for coming on, Daria, and talking about your process, your practice. It's really meaningful, and it's gonna be awesome to help people with their mental health right now. It's a biggie this year. People are talking about it,
Mhm.
which is
Thanks
good.
again. Thanks again for having me, Laura.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
All right. See you soon. Bye bye.